Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be watching a video called 15 German brands you pronounce wrong. So it's going to be very helpful, I think, because I am pretty sure I mispronounce so many German words, and obviously that includes brands, because I think a lot of the known German brands, I think probably are actual words in the language. I'm not sure, but I'm guessing, I'm going to take a wild guess and say a lot of them. I'm trying to think of maybe the car brands like Volkswagen, which I'm obviously butchering, and I don't know what other German brand names, because I'm trying to think of oh my god, there's so many, but I'm kind of blank. I think a lot of car names, but I think there's a lot of things in general of I don't know fashion brands and also I don't know maybe food brands. I'm trying to think of another a famous brand of maybe beer. There's a lot of beer. Is Budweiser German? I have no idea, but hopefully we're gonna find out. So let's check it out and comment, subscribe, and start.
Hey, have you seen my Adidas shoes? Your what shoes?
Adidas?
Adidas, the brand? Oh, Adidas.
Oh.
Not sure. Maybe you've left them in the car? Oh, and your friend's Volkswagen? Huh? Volkswagen, the car brand? It's a German car brand. You should know that. Oh, VW. Okay.
That's the name, that's the actual name.
Hello, servus, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Felicia. I'm originally from Munich, Germany, but have been living here in Cincinnati, Ohio, on and off since 2016. So a little update before I get into the topic. I had my wrist surgery last Tuesday. Everything went well and my insurance approved it, so they're fully paying for it, which is great. I was pretty knocked out afterwards for a few days, but I'm doing better every day, and today is the first time that I thought I would try to record something, as you can see. I'm having my first follow-up appointment in 4 days, and as promised, there will be another video about this topic in a few weeks. But a few weeks ago, before I broke my wrist, I made a video about mistakes that many Germans make when speaking English, and a lot of you guys asked me to make a video the other way around about mistakes that non-native speakers make in German, and that's definitely going to come, but there's actually a very similar topic that I've been wanting to cover for a while. So that's what I'll talk about today. German brand names that English native speakers often pronounce very differently than we do in Germany. And some of these brands you may not even realize that they're German. So I made a list of 15 German brand names that are typically mispronounced in English. And I'm going to tell you how they're pronounced correctly in German and also give you a little background information on some of them as well.
Great.
This video was sponsored by Skillshare, which I've talked about before. It's an online learning community that offers thousands of classes for creative and curious people like you and me. They have countless video classes about things like photography, video making, interior design, marketing, or lifestyle topics like minimalism or journaling. Or you can find and practice new hobbies and take painting or dance classes. And of course, you can also learn a language on there, including German, which I know a lot of you guys are interested in. The question that I think I get asked the most is if I have any advice for how to learn German, and I always say that you should listen to it and speak it as much as possible, but taking classes to get some formal instruction and exercises at your level is definitely part of it too. And the great thing about Skillshare is that there's no ad breaks and it's actually coherent lessons, so you don't have to worry about what's going to be the next step and Google for another tutorial. You just move on to the next chapter. I just recently checked out the class Video Editing, Transforming Footage into Evocative Travel Stories by Oliver Astrologo. Even though I obviously do know how to video edit, but I actually find it interesting to check out how other people do it every now and then and get some inspiration as to how I could improve things or do things a little differently. Now, if you're interested in joining Skillshare as well, make sure to check out the link in the info box below, because the first 1,000 people to use this link will get a free trial of Skillshare Premium membership. And even without that offer, it's less than $10 a month with an annual subscription. And with that, let's jump into our German brand names. First, of course, we have to talk about car brands, because German cars are being sold all over the world. They're famous all over the world, and a lot of people talk about them or even own a German car. The first one is Audi. Most Americans that I know pronounce it like I just said it, Audi. In German, we say Audi. Audi. And there's actually a funny story as to where this name came from. In 1904, a guy called August Horch founded a car company called A. Horch und Company, Motorenwarenwerke Zwickau, but a few years later he left the company and founded a new one. But he wasn't allowed to call it Horch again, and since that's not only his last name, but also means listen in the imperative form, he ended up translating it into Latin, and that's Audi. So Audi
like audio.
Listen. The company is located in Ingolstadt in Bavaria.
Makes so much sense.
Then, of course, one of the most famous car brands in the world
Volkswagen?
is this one. It's located in Stuttgart, Germany. I've heard Americans pronounce it Porsche or Porsche. In German, we say Porsche. So there's like this short A sound in the end. Porsche. It was founded by Ferdinand Porsche in 1931 as a company for vehicle development work and consulting. And one of the first assignments that the company had was from the Nazi government at the time to design a car for the general public, which was what later would become Volkswagen. And so they designed the Volkswagen Beetle, the VW Käfer.
They created that? What?
This one sounded super funny to me when I first heard how people pronounce it in English. I actually used to drive one back in Germany. So most Americans call this Mercedes. In German, we pronounce it Mercedes. So Mercedes versus Mercedes. Mercedes. So it's really pretty different. And the full name, of course, is Mercedes-Benz. I've also heard that in England, people also refer to Mercedes as Merc. A German will not know what you're talking about if you say that, just for your information. Originally, it was just the company Daimler Motorengesellschaft, founded in 1890. The name Mercedes was added later, inspired by a Daimler car dealer called Emil Jelinek, who was also driving car races under the alias Monsieur Mercedes, which was based on his daughter's first name, Mercedes Jelinek. The name was later also used for one of the car models in the year 1900, and then eventually became the name of the brand itself. This one simply has 3 letters, but of course they're pronounced differently in English and in German. In English, people say BMW. In German, we say BMW because W is pronounced V in German, and it stands for Bayerische Motorenwerke, which means Bavarian Engine Works. And of course, BMW is located in my hometown, Munich, which is the capital of Bavaria. The company was founded in 1916 and originally mainly produced aircraft engines. It's said that the logo represents a plane propeller, and it also has the colors of Bavaria, blue and white, to show the company's origin. Then after World War I, they survived by producing motorcycle engines, farm equipment, household items, and railway brakes, and built their first motorcycle in 1923, and then became a car manufacturer a few years later. They then went back to concentrating on aircraft engines again during World War II, using forced labor from prisoners in concentration camps, and didn't get back into car manufacturing until 1952. Overall, all of these German car brands that I just mentioned are more or less considered luxury brands in the US. I mean, Porsche, of course, is considered a luxury brand in Germany as well, but Audi, Mercedes, and BMW are pretty much just regular car brands to us. Obviously, they do have expensive luxury cars as well, but the regular models are driven by people from all social classes in Germany.
That's insane to me, because just the luxury brands all over the world.
Volkswagen, while in Germany we usually just call it VW, VW, VW. But even if we did go by the full name, it would be pronounced Volkswagen and not Volkswagen. So just imagine that it was spelled with an F and V.
Yeah, it's like with an F.
Wagen. This literally means people's car or car of the people, and it was founded during the Third Reich in the late 1930s because Hitler wanted to have a car that was affordable for middle-class Germans and that met the needs of an average family. So this was his attempt to make cars something that wasn't only available to upper-class people, but to the general public. And the company is based in Wolfsburg. Let's move on to something other than cars. So this is one of the brands where when I heard Americans say this for the first time, I didn't understand at all what they were referring to because they usually pronounce
it's Adidas.
Adidas, and in Germany we say Adidas. Adidas, Adidas. super different.
Yeah, like
It's
the
the
emphasis
second
in
largest
the first
sportswear
day.
manufacturer in the world after Nike, and I don't think that a lot of people know that this is a German company. It also
Yeah,
has an
I
interesting
didn't.
backstory. It was founded by Adolf Dassler, whose nickname was Adi, so the brand name is based on his first and last name, Adi Das. He founded the company at his mother's house after he returned from World War I, and he actually played a big role in developing spiked running shoes. In 1924, his brother Rudolf joined the company, and they founded the Dassler Brothers Shoe Factory. But they later got into a fight, split up, and his brother actually founded his own company called Puma, which became the biggest rival of Adidas.
Oh my
So both
God,
Adidas
seriously?
and Puma are German brands.
And they're both like, oh my God, they're in the same family. That's
Another
crazy.
shoe manufacturer that many
Birkenstock.
Germans would probably consider very, very German. Like if you talk about something typically German, Birkenstock is definitely going to be mentioned. But of course, this
German,
brand
that's so
is
weird.
known all over the world nowadays, and it's natural that people pronounce it with their native accent. So English speakers usually say Birkenstock. In German, we say Birkenstock. Birkenstock. Birkenstock, which literally translates to birch stick. The roots of the company go all the way back to the 18th century, by the way.
What?
From
So many
shoes to
questions about
alcohol,
this.
This is pronounced
Oh, Jägermeister.
Jägermeister in German. Jägermeister. English speakers usually
Jäger.
say Jägermeister, which is pretty much the same, just with a pretty thick accent. And people also often use the abbreviation Jäger, like, can I have a shot of Jäger, please?
Yeah.
It literally means hunt master. Jäger is the hunter, and Meister is master, and it's a German herbal liquor.
It's so good.
This is a German grocery store. You can also find them in
Aldi.
other European countries,
Yeah.
and they even have some stores in the US. I usually get the majority of my groceries at Aldi here in the US. In Germany, we call stores like Aldi or Lidl discounters because they sell groceries for very low prices. In English, people usually pronounce this Aldi. I think I've also heard Aldi before, but I think most people say Aldi. Or they also sometimes add an S that isn't there in the end and say Aldis. In Germany, we just say Aldi. It has its origins in
Aldi.
1945 when the two brothers Theo and Karl Albrecht took over their mother's corner store and came up with the concept of
Albrecht.
having a small selection while having low prices. The name Aldi comes from Albrecht Discount, so Albrecht, which is their last name, discount. In Germany,
Like
we
the
have
store.
Aldi Süd and Aldi Nord, Aldi South and Aldi North. Again,
What's
this is
that?
because of two brothers splitting up into two different businesses. In the US, the store is simply called Aldi, and it actually belongs to Aldi South, while the store Trader Joe's belongs to Aldi North.
No way. What? Trader Joe's is part of
Now let's
this?
move on to cosmetics. Nivea is a German brand from Hamburg that's mainly known for its face lotion in the little blue
Yeah.
container, but of course they offer a large variety of products nowadays. Again, I find the English pronunciation pretty funny here. English native speakers usually say Nivea, Nivea. In German, we say Nivea, Nivea. So the emphasis is on the E.
And the other,
Nivea.
yeah. I didn't know that was German.
This is a German hair cosmetics
Oh, it's
brand that
Schwarzkopf.
you can find all over the world pretty much. In German, we pronounce it Schwarzkopf, which literally means black head. Schwarzkopf. English native
Because the
speakers
W is a
usually
V.
pronounce it Schwarzkopf or Schwarzkopf or something along those lines.
Totally butchering
Deutsche
it.
Bank is the largest bank in Germany. Deutsche Bank also literally means
Bank from Germany.
German bank. Of course,
Yeah.
you can find Deutsche Bank not only in Germany, but in other countries as well. A good friend of mine here in Cincinnati actually just did an internship with them in their New York City location. And she's also going to start a full-time job with them soon. And Americans usually pronounce it Deutsche Bank or something along those lines. And my friend always uses the abbreviation Deutsch when she refers to it.
Yeah.
So like she said, I got a job offer from Deutsch,
Deutsch.
which is just really funny to me because that literally just means German.
It's true.
This is a German manufacturer of
What's
high-end
that?
domestic appliances, and
Oh,
it's not
never heard of it.
exactly pronounced wrong in English, but English native speakers usually say something like Mila, Mila. So it usually sounds more like an A in the end, whereas in German we say Miele. Miele. So the last letter is just a little bit different. And Miele really does stand for quality. If you invest in a Miele dishwasher or washing machine, you just know that it's going to be a good product and it's going to
Oh.
last.
great.
This is something that everyone knows and
Oh,
loves,
the gummies?
hopefully. Maybe not everyone knew that Haribo is actually German. We
It's
pronounce
Haribo.
it Haribo. Haribo. And again, the name originates in the name of the founder of the company, which was Hans Riegel, and he was from the city of Bonn in Germany. So Hans Riegel from Bonn, and he always took the first two letters, put them together, and it
Oh.
became Haribo. Hans
That's so
Riegel
interesting.
Bonn. Haribo. And last but not least, let's talk about a company that is not doing super well during these times, but it's one of the largest companies in Germany and second largest airline in Europe. And maybe you've flown with them before. In English, people usually say Lufthansa, but in German, we say Lufthansa. So the emphasis is on the first syllable, Lufthansa versus Lufthansa.
Yeah, of course, the American
last brand name on my list. So now, of course, I want to know from you guys which of these brand names you've always mispronounced, and maybe which ones you didn't even realize were German brands. And also let me know in the comments below which German brand or maybe German celebrity name or something like that you've always wanted to know how to pronounce it correctly, and maybe I can do a follow-up video soon and let you guys know what the pronunciation is. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure to check out my other language-related videos as well. You can find them in this playlist, and of course, don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so yet, and also make sure to activate the little bell next to the subscribe button to make sure that you get notification whenever I upload a new video, because right now with my broken wrist, things are just a little tricky for me and I can't really predict when and how many videos I'm going to be able to make in the next few weeks. But whenever I do manage to finish something, I'm just going to upload it whenever it's finished. So make sure to get the notification whenever that happens. And until then, you can see what I'm up to on Instagram and on Facebook. And you can also support me even more and join my Patreon family, patreon.com/, or support me with a small donation on buymeacoffee.com. Thank you guys so much. Stay safe and healthy, everyone, and I hope I'll see you next time. Tschüss!
Okay, yeah, this was, she was like, oh, what do you pronounce? Like, what do you mispronounce? I'm like, everything. I think all of them. I didn't really realize it, but it's like, of course, like Adidas. I think that's the actual name of the sneaker brand. I didn't realize it was German. I don't know why. I mean, I knew it was like from Europe, but I didn't realize it was from Germany. And also the gummy bears, I didn't actually realize they were German. Maybe it's just sort of like you sort of like know, but you didn't actually like, oh yeah, of course they're German. It's like, of course they are. It's like I must have forgotten. But I think all of them. It's so funny that I think a lot of the names are actually like compound words. I don't know if like that's the name. They're made up words. They're not actual words. I was expecting more of like this is actually like this means book or something, like this means an actual German word. But a lot of them are actually like play on names of like last names like the actual name of the person, and in some cases like he was like from Hamburg or something. Like they sort of like did like where you're from, like your first name, your last name, and where you're from, and you sort of like take the little like letters and then you like made up a name. It's like, it's so funny because if you think about it, like it sounds very German, and it's funny that they're not actual German words. So it's just like just the syllables, but they end up looking like, they end up sounding so German, although they aren't technically. Like the name is just a made up name. But I'm surprised by the amount of, like, maybe that's a common thing. Maybe it's common in Germany or maybe all over the world to just like do that, because I think like it makes sense to me that if you're like founding a company, like the company either has like a totally made up name of like, it doesn't mean anything, I'm just like making up a word. Or I think it's probably what's more common is that you actually like, it's your last name because it's your company. And I'm shocked by the amount of like the owners or the founders, they didn't actually use their last names. It was just, again, a play on words, which I'm shocked by. Maybe it's because they thought it was like hard to pronounce. It would be hard to pronounce if we're taking this internationally, obviously not for German people. But internationally, maybe it's more like it's not that common, so people they're not gonna know. Maybe it's a thing. I'm super funny like the Schwarzkopf, like the hair dye brand. Well, I think these days they actually do like shampoo and just hair products, because I knew that they were. I was like, well, I don't know if they're like Swiss or German, but it's funny to me that I always thought it was a last name because it sounds like it's such a. It has like so many words, so many letters, and it's kind of like a hard word. And I always just assumed it's gotta be a last name. And it's like, no, it actually means like black hair. It's like it's a word. So I'm shocked by that one. And also like the one thing to me, like it was mind blowing to me that the Volkswagen, the car brand, it started like as it was like Porsche, like did it was, well, I get these days are probably they're separate, that they started as sort of like the common people's Porsche. And I'm like, what? That's insane. Because also I think Volkswagen these days, well, it's not luxury, but it's more like, I don't know, it's not just for well, it is sort of like for regular people, but I think it's more like upper to middle class. I'm not thinking like, you know, the lower like society, like if you don't really have a lot of money, I'm thinking that you're not gonna go for that. I think it's more for people that have like middle class, I think. So not super expensive, but not like super cheap either. So I'm surprised by the fact that no, it was originally for like, it was like a cheaper brand. And of course the Puma and the Adidas, it's a weird thing to pronounce it like that. I didn't know that they started like, there is like two brothers that split up, and it's like I can't believe, so they're the same, and maybe these days they still belong to the same family. Well, it's like, well, it was a bunch of years ago, so probably just like cousins. Like my second cousins own the Puma company, and we own like the Adidas one. But it's weird to me, and so like, wow, that's so weird. So they're the same, they were founded by the same family basically. That's crazy. And also the Trader Joe's one, that's mind-blowing to me. I didn't know that the origins were actually like, it's a German like brand, it's a German company. That's super shocking to me. Like I'm like, whoa, that's crazy. And also like I thought it was really funny how a lot of like I think obviously like a Mercedes, I think that's obviously like an expensive car brand, and she's like, no, it's super common. Like in Germany, like that's why everyone like, or an Audi, like that's why like everyone drives that. Like normal people, common folks, like they drive that. And it's like, it's crazy because like, it's not just the USA, I think all over the world, those are like famous car brands that are a little more expensive. So it's funny that in Germany, apparently, it's just like super common. It's regular. It's like common folk. It's not like, oh, they have money, they're driving a Mercedes. It's like, no, it's normal. They're like super middle class, lower middle class, and they own a Mercedes. They drive a Mercedes. It's like, wow, that's crazy. But at the same time, well, it makes sense because obviously they're a German company, so it makes sense that for them it's normal. And all over the world, it's like, oh, it's a little more like, it's quite a like bougie car. But it was incredibly interesting. And now I'm gonna try to pronounce the words and the brands as they were actually meant to be pronounced. But that was it for today, and I'll see you next time. Bye!